Okay, go ahead.
So, do you like the fact that I kind of called the dogs, or I guess wolves, legendaries? When I saw those, I'm like, I told people there's gonna be dogs and wolves, and everyone's like, no, they're just part of the insignia on the shield.
Well, here, let's do this. I have queued up.
Welcome to Pokemon Direct. I'm Ishihara from the Pokemon Company.
Trying to turn down the volume a little bit.
Today, I would like to provide the latest news
So,
of the Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield games.
Man, I didn't realize how loud this thing interrupts my,
To begin, please take a look at this video.
So the problem about implaying video into the stream is you can't drag dials without dragging the whole video. Anyway. Oh, is it? Do we stop? There we go. Okay. There we go. Okay, so you called it, and then they do hint at a third Pokemon, which I imagine would probably be a dog as well.
Yeah, I don't know if there's gonna be a third one. It usually doesn't.
Well, conform to the two, yeah, but I feel like maybe they'll mix it up.
But if you look at traditional Pokemon, they'll have the trio, and then the two regular Pokemon, and the third Pokemon would be kind of like a mediator between the other two Pokemon. Take Palkia Dialga, and then take Arceus, and then take Kyogre Groudon, and take Rayquaza, right? So, you might have... You always have these two major... It's always like opposites of each other. Like in Black and White, you have Yveltal and Xerneas. But then you had like Zygarde, and the third Pokemon usually does not look like the other two. It actually never has.
Right.
There will be like a trio in a game, or in Sun and Moon, we didn't really have the trio. We had the Ultra Beasts. But traditionally, there's a trio, like the legendary Dog trio, the legendary Bird trio, the Uxie Azoth Mesprit trio. So yeah, there will be a trio, but it won't be the dogs. Or the wolves.
We can't assume that maybe they'll be both combined. We're just making an assumption here. Although as you see in the video playing on, at least on my stream, you can see that the Gigamax form, as they're calling it. So we had a League Cup on Sunday, and we were imagining how it was going to transition over into the card game. And a couple years ago, Wizards for Magic had done a four-sided die, and it counts 1, 2, 3, and 0. And our thought was that maybe there would be like some multiplier that you could apply for 3 turns, and you would use this die to count down your number of turns you can use this multiplier to, in fact, use the... it's called Gigamax, right? Am I using the right word?
Dynamax.
Dynamax, okay. So I feel like that would be like a type of mechanic that possibly could use. Otherwise, it feels like just another form of EX or GX, if they're just going to make it a one-turn use, or just use it how many times you want type of situation. So, but the other thing I didn't see was any type of armor, or any leak about a new Eevee form. But if you look at it, it pretty much looks like they built it on the, and as we're seeing pictures here, they built it on the Zelda engine. And a lot of people pointed that out when I was looking at feedback. It looks like it is basically Zelda with a Pokemon facelift. And in between the villages is the Wildlands, which looks remarkably like the open spaces in Zelda.
Pokemon battles are the most popular form of entertainment in the Galar region.
If you have the argument of Pokemon copying off of other games, not just Zelda, but what game was it? That had Ness in it.
Earthbound?
Earthbound. The original Earthbound 0.
To tell you more about some of the Pokemon that reside in the Galar region,
it was a lot like Pokemon, the gameplay.
Jamie. Hello.
Which came before Pokemon.
Game Freak. I worked as the for these games. There are a lot.
I mean, granted,
Pokemon that await you in the
I love some of the Zelda games.
you to just a few
But given the graphics of the Switch,
this Pokemon
I'm not surprised.
characteristic
Um,
fur, which is treasured by weavers in a town in the Galar region.
but I wouldn't be surprised if they also ripped off some of the same content they used in Eevee and Pikachu. Let's go.
Well, I mean, obviously, they probably did. There's probably a lot of mechanics that cross over. I was just watching Wooloo cross the meadow here, and then they're showing off new Pokemon. I really appreciate the Dreadnought, which is, it looks like it's going to be electric grass, maybe? And
Allow it to bite off chunks of rock and iron.
it was rock and iron, okay.
Makes it
What's the new Skarmory looking bird that looks like a black version of Skarmory? He looks kind of cool.
I don't think he's going to evolve at all. I think he's basically just one form. Corviknight.
Yeah.
It puts its skills to use
But
as a flying taxi.
I like some of the Pokemon. I don't like some of the other Pokemon. Most of them I do like. I do like the one thing I don't like about the wolves is the one wolf is holding a sword in his mouth.
Which seems really
Which-
inconvenient.
Yeah, I mean, because Pokemon are supposed to be based off of animals in the wild. How does a Pokemon just,
Have a sword in its mouth?
sword in its mouth?
Yeah, well,
mean,
they already did a unicorn, so they really can't do another one of those. I mean, look, there is a sword Pokemon, so my other thought was maybe the sword could be mounted to his side, kind of like a lance, but they didn't go in that direction, so I don't know what else they could have done.
If you talk about Aegislash, like literally being a sword, I mean that's a little bit different. But Aegislash literally being a sword than having an inanimate sword in his mouth, because the shield Pokemon makes a lot more sense because its main is a shield, right?
Right.
So it's not like it's not part of its body, but like I mean there are other Pokemon that have accessories, like Farfetch has a leak, right? Cubone has the bone it throws. But this is like the first real time that it has a man-made item, because leeks, that's a natural item that grows in the wild, and I guess bones comes from the whole Cubone thing where his mother dies and it picks up a bone from his dead mother, that entire thing when Pokemon does go into that. But I don't really see any other Pokemon that uses a man-made item. And I don't know how I feel about that.
In certain locations in the region, a new phenomenon can be triggered.
I mean,
Giant in size and gives it incredible
if there's multiple versions of this Pokemon, I know it's legendary or mythical, so there's only one of them per universe. But I mean, does it just like how did it get the sword? Right?
Well, I believe a Pokemon, Yoshimaru or something, came back in time, and they fought off a dream demon, and then this Yoshi guy left the baby shield Pokemon. The names are super Japanese. Anyway, I'm stealing from Dragon Ball Z's last movie, Wrath of Dragon, whatever it's called, and then basically that's how it happened. We're going to steal Dragon Ball Z theme to explain how that wolf got a sword.
I guess they might have to do an entire episode on how it got a sword. I would like an explanation for that myself.
Like, what is it? Like if parents had... Okay, so the parents had twins, maybe triplets. Again, we don't see the third Pokemon. But say twins says, here's a sword, here's a shield, you pick one, and that is your thing. Like, so does that mean they're eternal rivals up until a third Pokemon shows up, which is what we see in the end of this trailer? So, what is that really saying? Yoinks? I mean, that is a weird way to live.
I mean, where does it like how does it drink water? Does it put the sword down and then drink water? And like, what if some other Pokemon like steals the sword? I mean,
If it drills on the sword, does the sword get rusty? What happens after over time? Does like the mane is built into the body of the other Pokemon,
right? We're not arguing about the main. The main makes sense,
right? But the sword obviously it isn't. So it's going to get like damaged over time or dirty or something, right?
I guess so.
Right. So it's just my brain is like this does not compute. Okay, so the Dynamax mechanic works kind of like the gym battles in Pokemon Go, where you can meet up with only three other trainers to battle a giant Pokemon, and then if you beat them, each of you get a chance to catch that Dynamax Pokemon, and you get to catch them, and they return to a normal Pokemon size. And they're called max raid battles, which is what they call it in the Go. It's called raid battles. So where did they add the word max to it? It's like it's the minimum of raid battles. Like raid battles, you need at least 4 for the least, like for the 3-star ones. Although it depends if you have the strength or weakness, mechanic figured out. But anyway.
I think the Dynamax Pokemon. I don't know if you read my Facebook post. I feel like they've done this already, and not just in the season 1 references I made with the giant Jigglypuff, the giant Dragonite, but we had this in Sun and Moon with the Totem Pokemon. The Totem Pokemon are almost the exact same thing as this Dynamax thing. And I think someone pointed that out to me at Pokemon League, and they're like, well, I feel like the Totem Pokemon are the exact same thing as Dynamax. And I thought about it, I'm like, yeah, you're right, because they're like buffed up versions of Pokemon with just buffed up stats, and they're like the boss version of, when you went through the island trials, and I don't know if this is going to be implemented in the card game, because obviously Totem Pokemon were never implemented in the card game either. So the whole Dynamax thing may or may not be in the card game. And, it'd be actually kind of cool if Dynamax wasn't a card game, because we have those, the oversized cards, and we could have, like, a side deck of those type of things, and, like, imagine having you're actually using, like, the big Zoroark GX, the big ones that people get, and, having that in play for 3 turns, that would be kind of cool. But, it would only work if it was your active Pokemon, because, when it goes to your bench, it kind of would, like, poof away. I don't know, but, I think Pokemon...
I would like to talk about the Pokemon Gym.
I mean, look at Tag Team Pokemon. That's really not in a video game either. I mean, they could do something, like, because Tag Team is like, you throw out 2 Pokemon at once or something like that. But I don't know if they're going to do Dynamax in the card game, because they didn't do Totem Pokemon in the card game. So that's kind of my logical conclusion to all of this. Over time, the card game and video game, they do have similarities, but they've never been, like, really on top of each other. Like, we have Ultra Ball in the card game, but Ultra Ball in the video game does something completely different. I mean, same thing with Evilite. Evilite in a card game does something completely different than it does in a video game. So, I mean, just because we have one function in one game doesn't mean we have another function in the other game. I mean, look, I don't know if you were around for the Hoenn Phantoms block, but that never showed its face in a video game. So, I don't think the card game and video game necessarily are in the same universe. So, I don't think they ever were in the same universe. So, like, the way that Pokemon is set up is there's multiple universes going on at the same time. and that's the only way that Pokemon makes sense.
Well, there's over 100 comic book universes alone.
Right.
What, did I lose you?
No, I'm here.
Okay, because you're kind of going out a little bit.
I'm still here.
Okay, there you go. Well, it was in more recent times since Black and White, they've tried to more align them. Like, so Dynamax, the difference between Totem and Dynamax is your Pokemon weren't totems, it was the enemy Pokemon. Where in Dynamax, your Pokemon get to become Dynamax. So in gym battles, you get to have Dynamax Pokemon. Where you had Z moves in the video game, you got GX moves in the card game. And then, so that's where I'm going, well, if they're going to do Dynamax, maybe they'll call them D moves, I don't know. Or they'll give them some other name in the card game and then do something similar mechanic-wise. Otherwise, they're just making more GX cards and more, GX moves or whatever. So, I mean, obviously, yes, they don't have to continue the trend, but it just seems to be the way they keep going is to keep them linked so people could transition from one to the other and feel like they're still having a similar experience.
So, I don't know if anyone's watching my stream right now, but I just opened one booster pack and I got a Rainbow Rare Dedenne GX, which is really nice. Was not expecting to pull a Dedenne GX Rainbow Rare in a pack.
You can pre-order a special double pack. Stay tuned for more information.
I guess that'll come in handy later.
Yeah. And then, of course, if you're interested in the video game, you can pre-order now at most major retailers. Probably not GameStop if you want to make sure you get your order. Because, $3 stock, let's not go there, I guess. So anyway, on to the next thing.
So it's you against GameStop. Let's talk about this.
Oh, you want to talk about GameStop? Actually, I want to do this real quick. So I predicted in April that Smash Bros. Ultimate would have a rare character in it. Now, Battletoads is out because of Killer Instinct, but I figured Banjo-Kazooie would be it. And then the announcement was made at E3 that was in fact true, and here's the video on my stream. And then we'll talk about GameStop. And then after that, and I have some, when we talk about GameStop, I'll throw some E3 play videos, Sword and Shield on.
But, I was like, there's so many interesting cards right now in the TCG. You have Charizard that's worth a lot of money, obviously Charizard Reshiram.
Right.
And you have Dedenne that's worth a ton of money.
Yeah, I got two in my box opening.
Dedenne?
Yeah.
Nice. Imagine having a box where you get like full art Charizard, then Charizard, and then full art Dedenne, and then Dedenne. That'd be amazing.
I got two Dedenne GX and a full art Charizard Reshiram in my box.
That's a good box.
Damn, yeah. You can actually see the live stream in HaslageNet. I basically opened almost 2 boxes in total and got 12 good cards, 4 of which were full art, 2 of them were trainers, or actually 2 of them were secret rare trainers. I think 1 secret rare Pokemon, and then the full art Charizard Reshiram Charizard or whatever, or something along those lines. But yeah, it's up on the line. I ended up trading the, I don't like the art on the Reshiram Charizard, the full art one, so I traded it for the regular version, which was only $10 less. And got some other tag teams that I wanted. So it worked out as a pretty sweet deal for me. But yeah, still kept those Dedennes. Especially the fact that once I opened those packs, they went up the next week, almost doubled in price. So, but plus they're great for decks with Tapu Lele rotating out.
I really don't think losing Tapu Lele is going to be a thing anymore because we do have Dedenne. And I mean, we can talk about after rotation, I mean, you're still gonna have Volcanion Charizard. Kiawe's, we won't have Kiawe anymore. So I don't know how legitimate Charizard's gonna be after rotation.
Well, I mean, Unified Mind has some great cards coming out, so, I mean, Worlds is gonna, well, because Worlds is, Unified Mind's gonna be legal, like, at Worlds, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's gonna be interesting, like, people are gonna have no time to try anything, and that is just gonna be super interesting, and, well, Japanese people will, us, we won't, Americans will be pooched, but,
well, if you wanna, look, for Internets to play as Charizard, for Worlds to play as Pikachu Zekrom.
A lot of announcements from the Pokemon Direct last week, and then there were.
I mean, that is the play. I mean, if it was me, I definitely would. Either that or Pikachu Zekrom. I mean,
because for Worlds, I mean, you still have ways to get it out with Dedenne, and Dedenne's lightning. I think people forget that. You can just put it in Zekrom and just draw a bunch of cards. I mean, you don't need Ultra Ball. You don't need Nest Ball. I mean, you have that electric version of Ultra Ball, and well, it only gets GXs. But it's you can make it fast enough where you don't need what you have in right now. And for Worlds, assuming we don't have Zoroark, we don't have Kiawe, we don't have a lot of the stuff that makes Charizard just pop first turn. I mean, unless someone comes up with like Rayquaza and from Celestial Storm and makes that work somehow with the ladies, I don't really see, like, even with that, Zekrom just does so much damage, and I really think Zekrom is going to be the play at Worlds.
Okay, so back to GameStop. So anybody who knows anything about the game industry right now, people are switching to digital. It's just the way it is. I still buy my games on hard media because I like to know if there's any issue with my system, I don't lose my stuff, and I can still play my games. But GameStop took a $750 million loss in the last year and change. 638 million were just in the 2018 fiscal year alone, and they're still sinking. Last week, their stock price dropped below $4, and I think they are about to get delisted, or they're really close to it right now on the stock exchange. So, in New York Stock Exchange, if anybody was wondering, and so they've had an internal shuffle. They've gotten rid of people. They brought new people in. They have a new CEO. One guy was brought in, lasted 3 months, and left. Was like, "Oh heck no, this is a mess. The place is just a shambles." And so the new person in charge is like, "Well, hey, I'm going to change this from a cost focus to a customer focus," which is really what it should have been. When it started losing money, and I think the people who are running GameStop prior to this current administration lost focus that you really need to focus on the customers, and they were more interested about the bottom dollar. And I get it, you have to focus on the earnings of the stakeholders. But recently, GameStop just said, "Hey, stakeholders, we're not going to be able to give you your shares, your dividends this season. We got to reinvest." Oh, and you know what? I just looked. Their stock price right now is up to $5.50. So we've covered a little bit, but it's still overall down 3.85% since the last quarter. So that's still bad. I mean, again, it was over $7. At its high, it was almost $50. But so anyway. So this administration changed, and they brought in, and I believe I'm looking, let me double check here. I believe the name is Dan D'Amato. No, that is the head of the board. Hold on. Is it George Sherman? Yes. Okay, so they brought in George Sherman, and he used to work with Best Buy, Target, Home Depot, and they're about customer experience. If you look at a Best Buy right now, you walk into there, they greet you at the door, and then they have the store split up into sections. Basically, you can go into any of them and ring out at those sections, but you also get somebody who's kind of tailored to that section. And that's kind of what he did. And it's about customer service. He understands that the market is going digital, and you need to make the people go, you know what, I'm not just coming in here to price stuff for online. If I actually find something comparable in here, I'm going to buy it here. So Best Buy understands that you want your pricing to match online, and you want the difference to be that their experiences, they'll get it now, and they'll enjoy their experience. And yes, the company will take a little bit less money for it, but you'll sell more in the end. So that is the approach he's now taking. But in taking this approach, he also has to close certain stores. So he's going to close stores that aren't what they call the premier stores or prestige stores. He's always going to close non-prestige stores. They're going to close stores that are too close with, distance with each other because they're just cannibalizing each other. He's going to probably think again on the Think Geek merger part of it, because a number of stores, including one in this area here, was half changed to Think Geek and half GameStop still. The problem with that is you can go into that GameStop and find no one in the back of the store where Think Geek is, and everybody's in the front where the GameStop is, because who really goes to a GameStop store to buy a pair of Transformer socks? It's not really something people do. Before, when Think Geek was kind of sporadically sprung around a GameStop, oh, hey, there's some pop figures. Okay, great. It was on a shelf in a corner, that's fine, but now it's taken up half a store space. It seems like you're losing a lot of community, a lot of sales you could be getting here. The other thing was, a couple years ago, and this is what I felt was a huge mistake, GameStop had done a test rental program in like New York and LA. And it was so successful they crashed their computer systems. The problem is, they said, you know what, it's too much on our systems, let's just give up. And then instead they rolled out that premium elite membership thing. That was their solution somehow. I don't understand how they went from point A to point B, but obviously that does not work, and they canceled that. And so what they produce now is this hybrid pro membership, which is now $5 more a month, and then you get $5 in-store credit every month, which means now you're paying $20 a month, and you're still getting your Game Informer subscription, but now you're getting $5 in-store credit because they want you to come into the store now, which is all well and good, but they've given up doing the rental program, which would have gotten people into the store every couple of days, and that rental program would have been maybe a nice $15 a month, maybe $10 a month. You come in, you have 7 days, or maybe they'll do a Redbox, or not a Redbox, a GameFly model, where you rent the game and then you bring it back whenever, and you just, as long as you keep paying your monthly fee. But they don't do that. At least they're not doing that right now. So a friend that used to work at GameStop, she recently left when they basically said they were going to close her store, because she didn't want to be part of the mess that was going to happen. But they decided to keep her store open after the fact, and she was already out the door. So you know what, that's on her. But what I have here was a list of things that during a manager's meeting, of things that they were going to implement. And one of them she did mention was the thing I just mentioned about the new membership program. And let's see if I can find the message.
What I didn't like about GameStop is they always wanted you to get their stupid card, and it was a horrible deal.
Well, I have a membership because I enjoyed, well, when I was really big into it, I enjoyed the 10% or the 20% off or 10% credit, whatever, because I was going through those points like crazy. I was spending a lot of money on it. But I cannot remember how to find my message. Oh, here it is. Oh, the mail button. Is it not here? Oh, I may have logged in the wrong account. Let me switch accounts. So, basically, what I do now is I won't pre-order anything through GameStop. I will as I stretch out of the screen here.
Well,
Let me rephrase that. I won't pre-order anything long range like I used to. I used to be able to, or feel confident in pre-ordering something months in advance. Problem is, when you pre-order something at GameStop, the stores aren't linked, so it's not like you could pre-order something at one GameStop and then go pick it up at another one. It doesn't work that way. So, knowing that GameStop is on the, basically in trouble, I would pre-order something. Like I have recently pre-ordered something at the local GameStop, and knowing that it comes out next month, I feel like I'm going to pick that up, and then maybe I'm not going to pre-order anything for a while because I know the company's troubles, because I can't guarantee that that particular store will be there, and I don't know when a store files for bankruptcy. You can't guarantee that you're going to get your money back. So then you end up with a situation where you just gave away your money. So here's some of the things that they were going to do, and this is a little bit off topic from the E3 Pokemon Direct thing we were going to discuss, but since it was brought up, so they're officially no longer doing midnight releases. They're doing 9 p.m. releases, basically the day before, as long as quantity is met on orders. So whatever that means, I guess certain games have certain expectations. Okay. If the store is too small to support Think Geek. Now, keep in mind, I think some of these changes were before the new management. But if a store is too small to support Think Geek, the store would be closed. But that has actually happened to a store here. A store was closed because it was based in a small outdoor mall, and you could not vivisection it for Think Geek products. It was closed because of that fact. And then there was another thing they were going to do where when you walk into a store, there would be a tablet where you could essentially just look for what you type in what you wanted, and it would tell you exactly where to find it in store. I guess that's in test markets. I have not seen it in store yet. So another thing they were doing internally is reducing store employees and hours down to as low as, it looks like 80 hours, I guess. And that means that you would see a manager, assistant manager, and a key holder, and the key holder maybe worked there. Looks like maybe 10 to 15, 20 hours as needed per week, and they would basically pick up any lunch breaks or turnovers between the manager and assistant manager, which kind of sucks for them because that means they have to hold a second job just to. But then I feel like maybe GameStop would be smart enough to get these people multiple positions and through multiple stores so they can make up some hours, but whatever. And let's see, what else do they have here? So GameStop is going to have an exclusive for what is being right now called the Switch Mini, including Pokemon Sword or Shield. And right now there's a SKU for $200, and the theory is that is what it's for. But thing is, you can't reserve that yet because there is officially no name tied to that SKU. But that is what I have. So basically, my consensus is don't put any long-term reservations into GameStop because you can't be sure you're going to get your product. I told a friend who works at GameStop last time I saw him, I said, hey man, start considering other job options because I cannot guarantee you'll still be here. Like, the store may not be here at year's end. It just doesn't look like it's going to be good. Originally, I thought maybe they had 3 years, but when the stock dropped to $4, no. But what the recent management changes, the fact the stock has gone back up another $1.50, $2, maybe things are getting better. But in the long term, right now, be wary of GameStop. But let's change topics back to E3. So in E3, as you see on my screen here, if you're watching my stream, they're doing a lot of multiplayer kind of videos where they show there's little hub worlds where you can participate in matches with your friends in those battles.
Actually, Masuda-san playing right next to us. He's playing the Gloria character there, but
and
this is signifying that he wants to trade with us.
Apparently, you can contact your opponents in game to make in-world contact. And if you can see my screen, you can actually see other players in your world.
Or even try and get other players to join you in a match.
And if you can hear what they're saying, they say battling, trading, etc.
He's playing Gloria right now.
And you apparently exchange items.
プレイヤーが違う目的を持って遊んでたりするんですけども、そういった、プレイヤーが、出会う場所でもありますね。
So there's a lot of different reasons that players will come back to the wild area.
But I hope that
Other players, if you're connected to the
the new Switch Mini or whatever it's gonna be is out when Pokemon comes out.
Well, here's the thing, it has to be. Because if it isn't, and then Pokemon is not going to get the wider release that it needs, or that Nintendo wants. Because the 3DS isn't getting anything. It is done. First party support is over. So it has to be out. And as I said, the SKU is already in the systems of Best Buy, GameStop. Other places have reported a SKU from Nintendo that is significantly at least $200 in some places, and Spawnwave, I believe he posted one that was $199.99, which I believe is the Switch Mini. I don't know if it's the package with Pokemon or not. I would hope it would be, because I think that would sell a lot of them. But if you remember when they did the 3DS XL for Sun and Moon, I think they did it for $199, but the 3DS XL is also a less expensive system. So, but we also don't know what the retail price will be on a Switch Mini. Market analysts suspect $199, but we don't know. It could be $179 or $169, which would make a $199 price tag for a Pokemon bundle pretty good.
Alright, so as we're prepping up to do said max rate battle, Mr. Amori, Mr. Masuda, could you explain a little bit more to the people watching at home about what the Dynamax feature is?
Okay, so the crossplay features for the Sword and Shield games also looks like it's mainly occurs in the wild zone or wild area between the cities. And if you're looking at my stream, you can see the
what we've seen previously, for example, Mega Evolution and Z moves.
Wow, the battling. See, I have yet to see this entirety of this video. But it looks like you can pick your team on the fly. That's pretty interesting.
ポケモンを1匹選んで戦うことができます。で、今回はボックスからも1匹選べるので、そこから1匹選んでルカリをちょっと選んで戦ってみようと思います。
And each player participating in the battle can choose one Pokemon from either their party or from the box. So it's important to choose one of your stronger Pokemon since you before you go into the match.
And excuse me one second, I'm answering a question.
And
you only get to choose one, and you can't change during the battle, so you've got to make sure it's a good choice.
So strategy and communication is incredibly key here.
プレイヤー同士のコミュニケーションというのは非常に大切になってくるんですよね。
4人で戦うので、その役割分担と連携がすごい大事になってます。
Yeah, cooperation between the players and also really determining the roles is going to be very important to defeating the opponent.
まあ例えばタイプ相性の強い
Did I lose you?
I'm still here.
Okay. So let me check something real quick. So what I was trying to do was pawn you off into a match with somebody, and I was offering a bunch of booster packs, and I don't think anybody wants Unbroken Bond booster packs just for playing the game. It's weird. I figured that people would jump at this.
I'll take them if no one else wants them. I honestly don't have that many Unbroken Bond codes, believe it or not. So, no one wants them. So if no one takes those codes at the end of this stream, I'll take them.
Okay. You can have because I was going to offer one for participating. If they finish best of 3 and win, they would get 3. And if they defeat you in 2 games, they would get 5.
So that's actually pretty good. I mean, you were trying to pawn me off, though, so I don't know how I feel about that.
Well, I can't seem to beat you. And then the other thing was, I wanted to see let's go see what the poll says of what format would have been in. Loop. Clicky, clicky. See what format's got the votes right now.
Pawning me off sounds like a little bit, sketchy, but
So the format could have been, the format would have been expanded. So it would have been entirely an expanded format. Every vote is expanded. So not a lot of votes either, but still expanded.
I have a few expanded decks. No one wants to play me in standard anyway.
I feel like anybody who's watched this has gone, you know what, we'll try to expand it, maybe we'll be luckier.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. If anyone wants to actually play me, because I don't actually have that many expanded decks. So...
Your team can only use Dynamax once throughout the entire battle, so it's important to kind of identify what the exact right timing is to be able to, exploit its power.
So we'll give anybody a couple more minutes to chime in either in Discord or message the page and see if they're interested in challenging Tina to an expanded match, best of 3 on TCGO. For some booster packs from Unbroken Bonds. If not, Tina will get all 5 booster packs and you will get none. So, putting that out
there. I'm okay with that.
She is fine with it. I'm okay with it. I mean, I have them to give away. So... Okay, so...
I mean, you don't want me pulling a rush from Charizard, guys, so...
Is that still a good deck in Expanded, though?
Yeah, because it has Kiawe. Well... Blastoise will still... I don't know. Blastoise will still be a thing. For sure. I don't know.
Okay, so... I'm going to the North American International Championships next week. I'm not competing. I'm basically going to spend my time relaxing and playing side events because it's my vacation. And then I've already talked to some people. I'm going to Origins next year. But you're not going to North American International Championships this year. So are you going to Worlds this year?
I don't plan to go to Worlds or Nationals this year. I'm actually on a budget crunch. And it's not because I don't want to. It's not because, because I did go to Dallas Regionals this year, and
particularly effective. Enough to break that barrier down.
Some of the format. I just don't want to play Charizard Dedenne. It's just too much money. It just really is. And I feel like to a point, it's like, decks are becoming more and more expensive, and, I used to play Machamp Dog, and you can buy a booster box now and not pull anything. I think that's something that Pokemon needs to look into. I remember when you can buy a booster box of Heart Gold, Soul Silver and get at least one of every Prime card. So I also don't necessarily... I understand why Pokemon's going down the esport and the whole money thing. It gives them more publicity, but at the same time, there are some people that come in the community, especially from the Yu-Gi-Oh community, who I feel are toxic. And I don't play Yu-Gi-Oh for a reason. And those reasons are pretty clear of why I don't play Yu-Gi-Oh.
That was actually pretty good.
And I think Pokemon has kind of gotten a little bit better in the last few years when it comes to Yu-Gi-Oh people. But, like, I get why they want to have this esports thing, but, and they have to go with technology. But I don't like the amount of money that you have to put into it now. It's a lot of money. Because, I remember when oh yeah, we're going to start charging for regionals. I'm like, okay, I don't mind spending $20 to $30 to attend the regionals. And then it got to like $35, now it's like $50, and then it's like, okay, that's a lot of money.
That's funny, because I have been running League Cups for like $5. And somebody actually told me this is not enough to run a League Cup. I'm like, what do you mean? Everybody gets a booster pack when they enter, and then for every 2 players I throw another booster pack or whatever into the prize pool. Nobody seems to complain about it. And then a couple more people are like, yeah, you should be charging like $20. I'm like, that seems counterintuitive. I mean, you would think the more expensive it would be, the less people you would have participating. Isn't it about getting championship points though? I mean, so I was like, okay, so what we'll do for 2020 is we'll go up to $10 for our League Cup, but I feel like any more than that is just nuts. And my head judge, if you've played anything major for Pokemon, you know him, Jimmy Gurney. He did the math for me, and I'm like, whoa, okay, I see why $10 is an incentive for the store to do. But and sure, we're going to do $10 for 2020, but still, it's just players expect to pay a lot of money for some reason, and I'm like, this is weird, because they also expect big prize payouts at the end too, in addition to the championship points that they get for participating. And then another thing arises. Like, okay, for example, there are less and less kids playing at these events. We had 4 kids. Yeah, 4 kids at our League Cup. 3 juniors, 1 senior. And what happens is they end up combined into the pairings. So we had 26 players. Keep in mind, it's the end of the season. And so this is kind of a lower end when we had like 30-something. And then I had like 91, at the beginning of the season a while back. So you start to think, okay, so even at that one, I still had only a couple of kids. Maybe championship points should be altered a little bit so it isn't it doesn't totally screw everybody because the pairings end up being combined. I guess because there was still top 8. But I guess only the top 4 got championship points in that respect. And then somebody did a comparative analysis of championship points under the new structure. And a whole lot less people got Worlds invites in 2019 than did in 2018. So, like, well, a couple of countries stepped up, like, have more invites than previous years. But, like, the United States is really suffering because of the changes in the point structure. So...
Well, the reason I think $10 has become the norm is because you have to compensate the store, the judges, and the players. And if you're just a store running it by yourself, yeah, I mean, I guess it works out. If you want to do the whole $5 deal, not really pay yourself because you're giving yourself a salary anyway, or you're just going off the booster pack, the marked up booster pack prices, but. Here, when you hire 2 judges and you're a store, you have to make your cut, too. And players here, if they win a League Cup, you can't just give them a few packs for winning a League Cup here. You have a riot, so...
Well, no one's really complained more than the fact that they just want bigger payouts. So we typically pay the head judge, like, cold hard cash, and then if we... anticipate a larger turnout, we'll pay a second judge. In this case, I didn't need a second judge. 26, so I had a new judge who helped with a league challenge, and he got compensated. And then I do realize that with the probably changes coming in 2020, that going up to $10 would make compensation seem more like a... Well, how do I put this? We would be making, with the increase in price, making a little bit of money rather than just breaking even like we have been. And because I have been up until this point relying on sales from people being in the store, captive audience, buying drinks, product.
And if you have people in your store buying stuff, it works, but for me, breaking even was not cutting it. The amount of money I was spending on ink, the amount of money I was just, it just wasn't making sense to me, not compensating myself for any of it. And I was using my own pens, my own ink, my own printer, my own computer. And I was like, yeah, I don't want to compensate myself for this.
But you were doing it as an independent organizer hosting at other places, right?
Yeah.
Which is the way I was doing it for the first 14 12, the first 10 years of my time as an organizer. So I understand. It's just, as a store, then you go, well, okay, so the idea is not to lose money, so anything other than losing money is okay. So, you try to do what you think would get the most people in the door, because, again, you're looking at it as, get them in the door, captive audience, they'll buy drinks, and they'll buy extra product. But now that there's been enough interest, and even my head judge says, here's how $10 will work, I go, okay, we'll try $10. Because now I have the guy who I hire to judge these events telling me he thinks it's a great idea. So now I'm doing it. And with that note, I'm going to promote his new adventure, which is called Round 3. Let's see if I can... Round 3 events, right. So, if you are in Ohio and you want to have your Pokemon event ran professionally, check out Round 3 Events. It's facebook.com/round3events. 3 is a number, not spelled out. And, of course, you can check out their website at round3events.com for details. And of course, Jimmy's there. And if you know anything about video, Pokemon nationally or globally, AJ Schumacher is the head of the group. And of course, Mike Collins, you might know him as Hulan. He is also in that group, plus a couple other people. But you definitely want to check that group out if you're interested in having Pokemon events run for you. So give them a try. And
the one thing I do wish that Ohio would do is, I know they have a bunch of judges, and I know they have a judge training program, but I do wish they would expand that group more than, like, there's 7 or 8 people. I guess that's the only thing that there's always some form of, like, being on the inside, and, I've been on the inside, and I think other people understand of being on the inside, and but you always want to expand. The thing is that the one thing I learned about Pokemon is people aren't in this game forever, and that is very important to understand that people are not in this game forever. You don't want your 2 big people to leave. Not saying that Hulan or Mikey will ever leave, and it falling apart. I mean, Hulan or AJ leaving, and that would being an interesting situation for them. So,
well, if AJ left, the Akron area would probably be in a little bit of trouble, but I think Mike would cover it. I think it would be fine. But if Mike also left, and then Akron would be probably in just. People would be running with their hands screaming in the air. Just panic would arise. It would be a disaster. Because honestly, I don't know anyone else who runs anything in the Akron area. I feel like if I decided to quit today, Jimmy Gurney had this area covered. And as far as Ryan over in the west, I think Laura Norton might cover his area. But then again, if Laura left in the Columbus area, Ryan would probably go back into the Columbus area. So, I mean... a little bit there. So, I mean, yeah, Akron, I'm not quite sure what would happen. So, that's just Akron, though. I think there's 2 other guys there. If you go to the Round 3 Events Facebook page, I think it's Patrick and I can't remember the other guy. I don't know if I met the other guy. But, I mean, maybe they'll cover up the slack. I don't know. But I don't know the situation down there. I just, every single time there's an event down there, unless it's at one of the universities, it's typically Ryan or Mike who are posting it. So, at least as far as I'm aware, they're the 2 running them, So, I don't know, and I'm definitely not going to try to speak for what's going on over there. But for the state on its own, if for any reason any of us left, I think we'd be fine, and there would be a little bit of maybe a panic momentarily. Like when John Latham left the Cleveland area and I took over the area, there was a little bit of territory splitting between me and AJ, and the line ends at Strongsville. Gotcha. Okay, great. Oh, I'm all the way down to Ashland. Gotcha. I mean, some of the supplies went down to AJ, some of them went down to Ryan. I got a bunch of energy I had to distribute.
I mean, let's talk about Ryan here for a second, because Ryan has been there longer than anybody else. He's been there since the fucking beginning.
Whoa, language. And actually, he started after I did. And oof. Okay, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry for my language. No, he's been there. He's been there since the beginning. I don't know if you started before him, but I met Ryan, I believe it was 2006.
Yeah, that's when I met him too. I met him in 2007, as a matter of fact. Yeah, I started in 2003. I literally, the same week John Latham became the first Ohio PTO, he came to my library where I was running League, and I just became sanctioned, and he had just been sanctioned and I guess quote-unquote hired by Pokemon, so I was checking out the other league in the state. And it just happened that we beat the other league. So, yeah, I remember him popping in. So as at that point, as far as I was aware, we were the only two that existed. So I met Ryan in 2007 at Ohio State's, which was in Ashland. I want to say Ashland. I think it was at a Holiday Inn in Ashland or something, and I actually played in that thing. That was the last time I played competitively, because I was playing competitively up until that point. Or maybe it was 2008. But
I feel like a lot of people forget about Ryan. He's been in it so long. If you ever talk to AJ about this, he'll tell you that Ryan got him into it. Like, if you flat out ask AJ, how did you get into this, he'll tell you it was Ryan.
Well, I remember, I think I'm remembering, if I'm remembering correctly, I should say, I swear I remember AJ and his mom dropping him off at events. So that tells you how old I am. Yeah, but Ryan is like the only other organizer that I do events with. So like once or twice a year, I'll do like a League Cup with him, or maybe a pre-release, and that's because I feel like if I don't, I will I'll become a curmudgeon or something. I feel like I kind of need to. I don't like being stuck in my store. So I have to go out and do something else. And it bothers me that this year I didn't even get to do a convention. Even though I have done significantly large events for other game companies, I didn't even get an opportunity to do Origins or North American Internationals as a staff member, because all that really matters is what you've done for Pokemon, not what we've done for anything else, which really sucks. And we're not going to get back into this topic, so don't argue with me on it.
I mean, Pokemon kind of looks at the other stuff you've done. But if you haven't done anything for them, I mean, it's really hard, probably, to choose staff at NAIC.
Well,
there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people who want that. You have to realize there's a ton of people who want.
Yeah, well, this year they didn't even look at anything else other than what have you done this year for Pokemon. That was literally the application. Oh, and they want to know your favorite Pokemon. It doesn't matter. I've decided not to try anymore, so I should say not to try applying for these things anymore. So my goal now is just to attend a convention a year, and then again still try to like work with Ryan once or twice a year to help him with an event. So I feel like I've done something else outside of my store, because I don't want to really work other conventions anymore. I get tired of disappointment, I guess. At least with Ryan, he'll let me know what he has open, and then I can pick something that fits my schedule. And it works out really great. With conventions, I have to do stupid bidding processes and negotiate, and I'm tired of doing all that stuff. So at least with Ryan makes me feel a little bit better about things, and he makes it easy. And I get the once or twice, well, I should say season year, because season year is middle of the year to middle of the year. But it makes me feel better that I'm doing more than just sitting at my store.
Here's the problem with Pokemon: if they choose someone that the community feel like they didn't earn it, like that can backlash really bad.
Yeah, well, I don't think anybody didn't think I earned anything, but it doesn't really matter at this point, because I don't care anymore. I mean, I'm still a little, bitter about it, but I don't care if they...
you could probably get into Origins, but the problem with Ohio is you have all these high-level judges who all want to do... I mean, imagine AG trying to cycle through 7 judges who've all judged Worlds.
Yeah, I talked to AJ about Origins, and he was like, nah, he's just looking for people who've done regionals or higher. I'm like, you're aware that's never going to be me, right? I can't leave Ohio, go do... I've for the last, since 2012, I've had stores I'm responsible for. I cannot just leave to go do, whatever. It was not going to do regionals.
I think it was last year or the year before I asked AJ to staff Origins, and I'm like, I've staffed over 24 regionals, and he's like, yeah, you're qualified, but you realize if I hire you, someone in Ohio won't get it and they'll get mad.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that is something to think about. I mean, for me to be, like, super qualified and meet all of his requirements, I mean, that means someone else won't get it.
Again, we're talking over something that doesn't even matter anymore. You can't, and I can't, so... The point is, I love Ryan Patterson, and I'm moving on. I'm going to enjoy the North American International Championships for side events. I'm going to root on my friends who are praying for the championship. I'm hoping that a couple of them will make it to the top, because I think maybe one did last year, and then one of them did get...
Oh, and I do want to say one thing about stores. It's really hard for organizers to trust store owners, given all the drama that some of the stores have given Pokemon. Not saying you, but, The
plus, well, seeing as how I've used to work for a company that just made it a pain in my butt, but for the exception of that one company, I've generally had good experiences with stores. Even when I've worked for GameStop to do Pokemon stuff, it's been generally a good experience.
I mean, I've been in stores that flat out won't DQ people. I mean, I'm not naming any names on the stream, but this was actually very recent, where at a pre-release, someone at a pre-release was playing a pre-release deck with for how, and if you know anything about pre-releases, that's not possible. It didn't get DQ'd, and I was like, how can you not DQ that person?
I have to ask, why was a store interjecting on a event in which they had no ruling? I mean, they weren't even, like, how do I put this? There should have been a Pokemon organizer and / judge, or maybe there was. But there was. How did the store interject? It makes no sense to me.
Because...
Did I lose you?
No, I'm still here. It's because the store doesn't want to lose any business.
Oh, so the store said, hey, you can't disqualify them because they're a loyal customer.
Not necessarily, but, a lot of people don't want to put down a DQ because, they know drama will happen, they know an argument will happen, and a lot of people will do anything to stay away from that drama, and I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's the truth.
I mean...
But yeah, it's just situations like that really get to me.
I mean, not all stores are like that, but that sucks that you had that experience. But which reminds me, Unified Minds, the pre-release comes out at the end of July. So if you're interested in getting into the game and you haven't played the card game yet, and you want to jump in, but you don't kind of want to jump in mid this format particular right now.
Yes. The best way to learn Pokemon is at a pre-release, and if you go to a pre-release and you see someone playing 4 how of a card that's not even in the set, call over a judge. I mean, I'm sorry.
The chances of anybody getting 4 of anything in a pre-release is fairly unlikely to begin with.
Actually, I've drafted 6 of stuff in a pre-release, but...
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you know this, but it's in those little
Staples packs,
kits.
Evolution kits, yeah.
Yeah. Then it's not actually within the set. And this guy, what he did, he brought him and his 3 kids, and he combined all the whatever him and his kids got, and he made it into his own deck. Because if you go undefeated here, you get an extra 3 booster packs. So, I mean...
Yeah, that overly incentivized cheating. Okay, so anyway, the last week of July is the release week for Unified Minds.
Is this guy playing Ladio Stonk? Oh my god, this guy is playing Ladio Stonk.
I take it you're playing somebody online.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, in that case, I don't see anybody jumping on some free booster packs here, so I guess you win.
Well, I appreciate the free booster packs.
Okay, I will send them to you once we disconnect here. So, what are you looking forward to in Sword and Shield here?
I thought you meant the next set.
Well, we'll get back to the next set. I want a Sword and Shield first.
I think the graphics.
Just the graphics.
I mean, yeah, just. I mean, I don't know. I didn't really play Ultra Sun or Ultra Moon or Sun and Moon. I couldn't stand Rotom Pokedex. So I only got through like the first and second trial, which you had to set up for the QR code thing.
Right, for the online.
Yeah, and the last game I really enjoyed playing was X and Y because it let you customize your character. I mean, I know that sounds dumb, but I really like that.
Because I was looking for... Now, I like the announcement for Pokemon Home, which was the... basically, Pokemon Bank, and then Pokemon Go, and Pokemon Let's Go, and then Sword and Shield, and all of it just goes into Pokemon Home. I feel like Pokemon Home is basically going to be like... and then you could trade from an app. Basically, once you put everything into Pokemon Home, it's all in the app. But I feel like nothing goes backwards once it's in Pokemon Home, except it goes into Sword and Shield. But, and also, I hope they don't do any more sequels. I hope it's a third game in the series instead of another sequel.
So what's the deal with Pokemon Sleep?
Oh, so Pokemon Sleep is a sleep monitor. Pretty much is like Pokemon Go Plus, except you lay it on your bed. The problem is people are going to lay it on their bed, forget they have it there, and then get busy. And it's going to think they're having seizures in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Right. You had a seizure for 3 minutes at 1 o'clock in the morning.
So how does that work? Because I saw the trailer. I don't think I actually get how it works.
It just senses motion on your bed. Literally all it is.
So if you're going to do something with your partner, you have to take it off.
You probably should, yes.
Okay then. So is it like going to be like a pillow or something, or like a?
And they showed it as a half a Pokeball. It's a sensor you lay on your bed. That's it.
Oh, like a camera or something? Like
I hope it's not a camera. I hope it has no speaker on it either.
Because how does it sense you? I mean,
gyroscopes and motion sensors, I assume.
Yeah, but a motion sensor's kind of like a camera.
Well, it's not going to see anything. It's just going to sense the bed going up and down. So.
I mean, so let's say you forget to turn it off when you're with your friend, and
well, I'm hoping they're more than friends, but go ahead.
You know what I'm talking about,
right?
And you open your app up. Oh, I must have had a restless sleep, and Pokemon Sleep is like, you had a restless sleep
for 3 whole minutes. Yes.
I guess. I don't know. But yeah, I was like, what's the point of Pokemon Sleep? I was like, I don't get this.
What was the point of the Pokemon Heart the Nintendo Heart Monitor? It's the same stuff. Or like Pokemon Plus Plus. What the heck? Why not?
You mean the watch or the Pokeball?
The thing that you put on your thing that monitors your heartbeat and your pulse, and that is your heartbeat, and your respiration and your blah 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 whatever else, and then it gives you bonuses for your Pokemon. I guess I don't even know. It's something I saw somewhere. I'm like, really? This is a thing? Because Pokemon Plus is the one that you catch Pokemon with on your wrist. And then Pokemon Plus Plus is that plus everything else I just said. I hope it has a watch feature. So
it's like one of those, what's it called? The Apple Watch things.
The iFits or whatever they're called. Yeah, the Fitbits.
Fitbit, thank you.
Yeah, there you go.
So it's like a cheap version of Fitbit. Right?
Yeah, I imagine so. Anything to make money, I guess. But I just really enjoyed the fact that the Pokemon Home allows you to put everything up onto a server in a quote-unquote cloud, and then you can load up an app and go trade with your friends with their other mobile devices, and you don't actually have to load the game up otherwise. So I really like that feature that you can trade like that. So that's really nifty, and I hope there's a web portal version too. So if you don't have a smartphone, you can still access it via the website of some sort, like a GPS.
I do like it's service. Pokemon Sleep? I mean, Sleep for Pokemon Home makes a lot more sense than Pokemon Sleep. I don't know. No offense, Pokemon, but Pokemon Home makes a lot more sense than Pokemon Sleep.
Yep. And then, so that I'm looking forward to. Although somewhere somebody posted that there's not going to be a National Pokédex, which is weird to even think of such a thing not existing. I'm trying to find the contents. National Pokédex. Give me one sec. Okay, so it says, so it's a petition on change.org that says, during June 11th, Nintendo Treehouse, Game Freak's Junichi Masuda shockingly announced that Pokemon fans will be forbidden from transferring hundreds of their beloved Pokemon from past games into the series' newest entries, Pokemon Sword and Shield. He elaborated that the change would be a policy shift from how the company approached Pokemon games from the past, or from this point forward, suggesting that more Pokemon will be axed from future titles. Ugh. Game Freak's explanation. Yeah, it's Game Freak's explanation for the colon.
They're axing Pokemon from future titles?
Basically, they're saying the reason for this is there's 809 Pokemon, and for them to prepare 809 Pokemon to be on this game would take a lot more time than they had available, especially with the upgrades and everything they did for this game. So to not put in National Pokédex / update all 809 Pokemon, and allow them to release the game quicker. So it says, regardless, even if porting every Pokemon into Sword and Shield cannot be completed by the time the game is released, there is no reason Game Freak could not gradually release a patch that could do so. So this petition is saying, please sign the petition to tell Game Freak to patch the game after release to allow for the National Pokédex and thus allow for the porting of all 809 Pokemon, or 809 at the time of current time. So now let's see how many people have signed this thing. I'm looking. So they're looking for 5,000, but 2,733 have signed, so 2,733. So there's some serious people about this, and the most recent signature was a few minutes ago. So, yeah. So you go to change.org, and it's called Let Us Catch 'Em All. That is the name of the petition. Let Us Catch 'Em All. So,
I mean, they could have a thing where they can patch it in later.
Right, they could. And I don't understand what the purpose of Pokemon Home is then if you can't really do this. So that brings up another question. Maybe I misunderstand. It just says you can't move them forward. Well, what the hell is Pokemon Home for? So, exactly. So, there you go then. So if you change.org if you want to let us catch them all.
I mean, maybe they're trying to stop the whole hacking thing, but
I mean, because for 2020, probably starting in January of next year, excuse me, Sword and Shield will be the legal game for the video game tournament. So whatever they figure out, they need to figure out quick, because if they are going to decide post-actively to patch in the later Pokemon, but you know what they always do with the first year, it's always what's in the Pokédex for year 1, and then year 2 is like the legendary stuff. But they really can't do that if they're now allowing you to bring the back catalog in, so what do you do for year 2? So, I mean, it opens up some questions if you can't do that. Because that's something they've been doing steadily for the last 3 series. So, okay, so going back to the card game, Unified Minds is coming out. Mew 2 GX. I think a lot of people are really looking forward to that card.
I think Mew 2 GX is great. I believe it is weak to Psychic, so you might see a comeback of Trashalance. I mean, imagine 1 energy Trashalance, knock out Mewtwo Mew, get 3 prizes. I think that could come back, definitely. I mean, expanded, obviously, because that's in Guardians Rising. But I think Mewtwo is going to be such a played card, personally, so.
Okay, so others include Garchomp and Giratina GX, which I'm looking forward to because I like a nice dragon-type combo. I really do like it. If you're a fan of the dark types, Mega Sableye and Tyranitar. The first time a Mega evolution has been used in a tag team. And then water types, if you enjoy Slowpoke Psyduck, and it is a water type, even though it could possibly have been a psychic type. And honestly, if it also printed as a psychic type, I think that would also maybe still work. But the moves are all water based, so maybe not. But anyway, psychic types, Espeon and Deoxys? Yeah, GX. Actually looks pretty cool. If you can go to Pokemon.com and click on trading card game, and then it's featured on the page. You can actually go look it up. Dark types, Umbreon and Darkrai, and that card looks actually pretty cool too. Rowlet and Alolan Executor for grass types. And then, this one I thought it was adorable. A Raichu and a Alolan Raichu GX. So I feel like there's this card with the Zora GX and Denene, Tapu Koko, Volkner. Actually, the list here in the card description, basically, they already give you an idea of a good deck to go with it, which includes Electro Power, Electromagnetic Radar, and Thunder Mountain. It basically, Pikachu, Zekrom, throw it in there. Yes, you've got a heck of a deck right here with this card. But I already want all of them. They just look so great. And of course, Mewtwo and Mew is weak against Psychic, to answer your question.
Yeah, I think Mewtwo Mew is going to be great, for sure.
Trying to see if there's any unusual weaknesses here. No, everything. Slowpoke Psyduck, instead of being weak against electric, are weak against grass, which is fine. And everything else, Giratina, Garchomp are weak against fairies, so that's not atypical. So the official release date is August 2nd, but again, the pre-release is the full week before. So there is also, I think, supposed to be a special 60 card set coming out again, and I am trying to remember the name of it. Somebody mentioned it to me. I saw it somewhere.
The super shiny thing that you're talking about?
Yeah,
super shiny.
You're somewhere in the category. It's like Shining Legends, but it's the new 60 card. Because Japanese players got more sets than we did again, so they're trying to make up the difference. Blah 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 blah. Same shtick, new half a year. But I don't even know when that's coming out. I don't even know what the set's name is. But hopefully it's a nifty collection. I'm tired of the dragon motif. They've done that a little too much. And then they don't really need to do another Legendaries mythical thing. So it'd be interesting to see what they're doing with this one. I don't know what it is. I'm sure like Pokebeach or something has a leak on it. But so that's coming out of the pipe at some point this year. But this is the last show of this season year, because again, after this week is Origins, next week is North Americans, and then in August in DC, right, is Worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then we start the whole New Year thing up again. And then hopefully next spring, Tina and I will be back, and we'll stick this up for another, hopefully 10 episodes, and we'll see how things go. But
and next season, I think is going to be a lot more interesting, especially going into Worlds. You have a rotation right before Worlds, and we're losing a lot of key cards that we had for a long time. We're losing double colorless energy. We're losing Ultra Ball. I mean, we're losing a lot.
Tapu Lele GX. I paid $120 for one of those freaking cards. I'm happy I packed the others, and the other ones I traded for, so I don't feel too bad about. But I cannot believe I paid. On the plus side, I worked for a company where I got a huge discount on some of the other. So I mean, I got them at a cheaper than the market price situation, but still, we're not cheap cards to get 2 playsets for. Well, you technically need 3 a deck, so I got 6 of them. But still, just for it to go from 120 down to, what is it, like $8 now, and it's going to get flushed anyway. So Shaman is still sticking around $5.
Shaman's worthless.
It's worthless now? Oh, dang. I think the full art was $5 last I looked. Second of that. I still kind of want it because the full art Shaman looks pretty good. Shaman EX, by the way, in case somebody asks. And not the old, I like the good Shaman EX. The one with the gold border and the... Okay, anyway. So, some great cards coming up in July. Don't forget, Origins next week. U.S. Internationals next week. Let's see, what else?
North American Internationals.
Or no, it used to be called U.S. Nationals, and then became North American Internationals, because we want to be all-inclusive.
Well, no, there's a reason they did that. Because they used to have nationals in every country, so they had like a nationals in Germany, and nationals in France, and nationals here, nationals there, and so there's a lot more national tournaments in Europe than here in the United States, and people didn't think that was fair, so that's why they did that.
Well, now they're continentally based or something. Well, no, because like Brazil gets one, isn't it? Or no, is that considered South American?
That's considered Latin America.
Oh, Latin American. Okay. Well, I thought Latin America was Central America. I'm so confused. So confused. Okay.
So they have Latin America, North America, European, and Oceania. Those are the 4.
I'm not peeing. Oh, punchy. Okay. So, anything else you want to say before we go then?
Yeah, make sure you look at the Play Pokemon event locator for an event near you. If you're in my area, make sure you say hi to me. If you live in Anthony's area, make sure you say hi to him.
Oh, also
Don't fight hard.
Don't stalk us. One more thing. Don't forget, during the next 2 weeks, no League Cups or League Challenges are happening. So, because of the North American Internationals, there's I guess a blockade of sorts. They're not allowed to happen because they have to tally up points or whatever for World Invites. So, and then they have to do the internationals, and then they send the invites out. Some people have already gotten them. I've already been told, like, a couple of my players already got them. So, if you can't find events this next couple of weeks, that is why. So don't worry, it's not you. They're just not happening. So, there you go. So, So next month, League Challenges and League Cups will start back up as the 2020 season. So if you did not get your points at the end of the North American Internationals for 2019, you are done. That is it. 2020 starts in July.
Oh, and if anyone plays Minecraft, check out geographica.xyz. Yeah.
Sure, because that's how we cross-promote Pokemon into a Microsoft game.
Hey, it's a great start.
Okay, well, thank you all for watching. Apparently, Tina's going to get 5 booster packs just for being here. So, we'll catch you next time.
Okay, see you, everybody. Bye.
Bye.